Oilerslive podcast. Oilerslive podcast. Oilerslive podcast. Oilerslive podcast.
Now, get ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live Studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, Dash here with another Tuesday edition of Oilers Live. We've got a special one, I would say, tonight. There's something a brewing, if you will. I've got, what are we calling you now there, A-Bear? Are you my co-host? Are you my friend? Are you the associate host tonight? Or what's going on?
If you don't get it right, none of the above.
And our friends, our colleagues, our co-network partners, the boys from the Fantasy Hockey Hacks are with us tonight. I don't want to say how you doing to four guys because you'll all answer at once and it'll be awkward. So knowing what's on the slate, I'm just going to assume you guys are doing pretty damn good. But we'll maybe start with Devon. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going great. The summer of fantasy continues. It's been a good one for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, the summer of fantasy, the summer of heavy hockey. We've all grown in steps and bounds. It's been fun to be doing this with you guys. Bruce, any words before we get going?
Looking forward to another great season of fantasy hockey.
Awesome. Tyler?
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add. Just happy to be part of it.
Awesome. John?
Yeah, no, same here. Just excited for another season, and we'll get this thing rolling.
It's September. Season is here. I would say it feels like it to me anyways. I got in my car this morning. It was 10 degrees and drove about 5 blocks, and then it was 8 degrees. So I'm not really sure how the hell that works, but I felt it. That's for sure. Probably the biggest news of the day, I would say, is Captain Skate for the Oilers. The boys are back in town and got the blades and steel on the ice today. Pretty unique one, to say the least. I guess from what I understand, Connor McDavid threw the oil drop signal up into the sky and from Muskoka and said, "Hey boys, let's get to Rogers Place," and the whole team's here. So I don't know. Do you guys think that that's important? I guess starting with Michael, do you think that that's going to help? And what do you think that might bring for having the whole team together?
It's the same thing every year. Everybody, the captain skate, right? It's in my mind, it's a way to circumvent the NHLPA contract that they have with the NHL. Get some skates in where they don't have to necessarily. It's not mandated by the team, but the players know and the guys know that it's important. And so I think this is just a way of the guys getting together and knowing who's on board and who's not on board, right? Some guys, obviously, if they're overseas, they can't make it right away. But I mean, you look at a team like the Oilers, and they've been, they're got good leadership now. Finally, I think the last few years, guys are showing up. They want to be here, and who wouldn't want to skate with Connor for an extra couple weeks? I think I'd probably join him.
Yeah, if he invited me, I'd be down there. That's for sure. I'm not sure anybody's missing. And I think that's what's special about this year, Michael, is that the whole team is there. So I'd have to say that it at least shows some level of commitment or that there's a buy-in for win now. Bruce, you got the Oilers hat on. What do you think?
Oh yeah, like Leon said, this year it's cup or bust. That's where the bar is set. They want to go all the way. You listen to them after the Vegas series, they were not happy at all with the way that ended, and like Leon said, it's cup or bust.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Devon?
Yeah, no, I think it sets the right tone early. Like it's win now or they're in trouble, I think. So the expectations are high this season, and Connor and Leon doing the thing that leaders do. They're setting that tone right away. So I like it.
Yeah, I would think so. Tyler?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit too much being made about it. I know Eberle did an interview today, and he said that they had a captain's skate today too. So I think everybody's talking about it. So it's just being blown up a little bit. It is nice that everybody's here. This does feel like, and I know some of the coaches have talked about having the same feeling as what they think Tampa would have when they lost out and then ended up winning the cup the next year. I think that's kind of the feeling that a lot of the team has, which is a good thing to hear. And I'm happy they're all getting together. I'm ready for the season to start. So
yeah, I would agree. John?
Yeah, no, just having everybody on the same page there and everyone making out for it. Absolutely. That lets you know that they all have the right mindset. And it's high rolling from here.
Yeah, I think it says a couple things. I can't disagree with Tyler that I think that it is a little bit of blown out of proportion. There's no doubt about it, but there's something special about it being the first time that everybody's here. I can't say that it's going to hurt camaraderie. It's not going to hurt chemistry. I think when you're that close and you lose to the eventual Stanley Cup champions 2 straight seasons, like Bruce said, you're upset, and like Devon said, you guys got to, it's now. So what's left? Like, what else can you squeeze out of this to make sure that you're doing absolutely everything you can to win a cup? And if one of those extra things is everybody being there for camp and being on the same page, then I'm all for it. I just hope that it keeps up. And I also hope that it helps to faster starts. I think was last year we lost 3 out of the first 5. A couple of years back, we started 2 and 3 as well. We started hotcakes in 21-22, but I think that was the biggest roller coaster of the year. Like, we were 2 and 8 in December and 3 and 6 in January. We're slow starters in games. I don't know. Maybe that'll be something that can help us get going early. So, I thought that was interesting as well. Probably the biggest news just for today. I'm going to drop this one on you. I'm not sure if you guys heard or not. But on Oilers Now, there was an interview with Jeff Jackson. I talked to a couple of you guys. I'm not sure if the rest of you heard it or not, but ultimately it doesn't matter where we'll go with that. I think it the Oilers, so you'll know your story. But there's a couple things I got out of that interview. One, it's pretty cool to hear the story, and I'd forgotten that I'd read it. I think it was in James Duffy's Beauties book or something like that. But a story about the time that Sam Gagner got invited to the rink in Toronto and saw this 14-year-old kid buzzing around, and he knew his dad, Dave, and Jeff Jackson were thinking about starting this agency and getting going, and Bobby Orr was involved, and Sam went to this skate and came back and told his dad, he's like, oh, jeepers, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this, but if you guys are thinking about starting an agency, you really need to go and check out this David McConnor kid. got the name right, but scouted got the name wrong, but scouted the talent right. Ultimately, here we are, right? They've had their agency. Jeff Jackson was his agent. Now here we are, and he's got a new agent. Sam Gagner is potentially joining the organization. Jeff Jackson is in the organization. So I thought all of that was pretty cool. I don't think we need to comment on it, but I will take your comments on something else that he mentioned, which was Stoff asked him that if he had consulted Connor about, whether he thought he should take the position when it was offered to him. And I thought the answer was really intriguing and interesting, because he said something along the lines, and pretty close to verbatim, but I checked with Connor and Lauren, And they were both, really intrigued by it. And Connor was worried about, well, who will my agent be? So I'll tell you this to ask you the next question, but it looks like Connor McDavid got another promotion this time, for, I guess, the promotion from assistant GM to assistant POHO. He's had his hands in a lot of trades with Holland since he's been here, from Keith to whoever, and Connor Brown now. Looks like he had his hands in the POHO position and told Jeff Jackson, yeah, you should go talk to Daryl. I think Mr. Cates would be really interested. So I don't know if you guys caught the interview, but I would just take general comments on that or either one of those things and maybe reverse order this time. Dev?
Yeah, you know what? I actually didn't hear the interview this afternoon, but for me, I think it's important that they're involving Connor in all of these decision-making procedures, because then he takes ownership of the results himself too, right? Like they want him to be happy, they want him to be there, but at the end of the day, the players need to win the games. And if Connor can look at that and go, you know what, I approved all of these decisions. This isn't an organizational issue. This is us on the ice. And so I think, and Connor's never going to point fingers, right? He's just the type of guy that's going to take ownership for what happens. But I think it's important to have the leadership group bought in to what they're doing and to be transparent with them. I think they're just going to be happier that way. Like, you've got players that are 2 and 3 years away from free agency, right? So you got to do everything you can to have these guys bought into the process. And I think that's important. So I like that. And yeah, fair comment from Connor too. Like, if you're going to take over, who's my agent going to be? Like, there's some concerns from Connor's end too. So I think just that transparency is important, right?
Yeah, and I really screwed up reverse order because that should have been John, but I did say Devon there. So. go ahead, John.
I'm all right with that because
welcome to me hosting Oilers Live.
Yeah, no worries. I like it. No, I like Devon's input there. Definitely gives Connor some skin in the game with having his decisions there. So yeah, no, I definitely like having his input there, and he's the best player in the world, and you got to take notice, and you keep him happy, and everyone else will get there as well. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you got to think that there's some sort of motivation in all of this, whether Connor McDavid actually had the idea in the first place, like our commenter Neil Garrity said there. But ultimately, I think there's something lent to the fact that they're doing everything they can as an organization to make sure Connor McDavid stays in Edmonton and Leon Draisaitl as well. I don't know. I think there's something to that anyways. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I think you can only pay Draisaitl and McDavid so much money. All of the rest of the things that you can do to make them want to be here, or even make them feel bad for even thinking about leaving, you have to do it.
Right.
And I mean, but that being said too, Jeff Jackson is completely qualified and probably overqualified for the position. And I'm surprised more people weren't talking about him before this just kind of popped up. But yeah.
Bruce?
I don't know if I have much more to add there. They pretty much covered it all. I just like the fact that they brought in somebody from outside the Oilers organization to come in and do this, where history has shown they've been more than happy to bring some up from internally and do it. It's nice to see them go outside the box and bring somebody else in with some outside eyes.
Yeah, that's fair. Michael?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you all said it, but, it doesn't matter what league you're in. The Stars sort of dictate what happens with their team, right? And, the Oilers aren't going to be any different. You've got Connor McDavid, who's as big a star as we've seen in over a decade. I mean, if he's not at least got a say in it, then something's gone wrong, and the league's gone wrong, and everything's gone wrong. Wayne Gretzky had a say in what happened. Connor McDavid has a say in what happens. Leon Draisaitl certainly probably has a say in what happens as well. These guys are important to the team. They're more than just players as far as the franchise go. That's why they call them franchise players. So, yeah, it's just no doubt, right, that he'd have some say. It'd be stupid if he didn't.
Yeah, well, for sure. Exactly. Further comment, Michael, on the Gagne portion to it. Like, what do you think that could add to the piece? Whether it's more ammunition for McDavid staying, or whether it's, the character, the missing piece.
Yeah, I mean, I'll pump, the heavy hockey site. I mean, Lotsberg did a good segment, 3 segments, as a matter of fact, editorials on, why Connor McDavid is staying. There's lots happening, and it's not to mention, I mean, in a salary cap world, moving a 15, he's going to be worth 15 million, let's say, at least, on the next contract. Moving a salary like that, or adding a salary like that to an already existing team, is near impossible. So, I don't. To me, it's silly Maple Leafs talk, right? Like, it's Eastern media talk to think that he's likely going anywhere. It would have to be, we're talking like a Gretzky style of trade off somehow, and those things don't happen as much anymore. I just can't. To me, there's so many little reasons, but Lotsberg put it together quite succinctly on heavyhockey.com, if you haven't seen that.
Yeah, I mean, Toronto's been claiming every Torontonian free agent since Boreas Salming left the league. Yeah. So just because it worked for them for Tavares doesn't mean that it's going to work for them again. I think like they rolled the dice and hit, and now they're like, oh, we're going to get this every time. It's kind of ridiculous, to be honest. And I think it is led by a lot of that, and probably has steam because of a lot of that. But Michael, you brought up Lotzie, and like, it's 17 straight episodes we have now, because like, man, that kid. So talks about, Michael, let's pivot on that a little bit and use that as a segue, because Lotzie wrote a couple articles, not just about why Connor's staying, but he also wrote a series of articles about Jeff Jackson. And in that series of articles, since we're on the topic of Jeff Jackson, he called a couple of things, and one happened a week or two ago when he said that he thought that the next thing that might happen would be Tyler Wright losing his job. And scouting being replaced. And now another part of it happened earlier this week, or today, or whatever we do, but we've hired some analytics. So again, around the horn on, what you think that both analytics and new scouting could potentially do, or its effects, and how you think that could work for the Oilers moving forward. Bruce?
I think a fresh set of eyes doesn't always helps too, to take a look at what we have and what we can bring in going forward. I don't follow the scouting and stuff too much, but from what I've seen, he's got a great background working with, I think, Tampa, Colorado, I think Philadelphia too, or is that, I read that wrong? But never hurts to bring in a fresh set of eyes and take a look.
Yep, I would say that as well. Devon?
Yeah, I think it was time for a change. Like, you look at Tyler Wright here, 4 seasons, 4 drafts. There's really been no tangible results to this point. We've got Dylan Holloway, who we're all hoping is still going to work out, right? Like, he's got the frame to do it, and I think healthy and in the right position can do so. But other than that, I mean, I thought, was it 2021? That was a massive flop. Like, you were staring down Jesper Wallstedt, and you move down and you take Xavier Bourgault. And I understand that part of the discussions probably were, you know what, that goaltender is probably 5 or 6 years away from being NHL ready, but you needed an NHL starting goaltender. Like, at that time, we didn't have Stuart Skinner that we have today, right? So you brought in Campbell for $5 million. Like, I just felt like they needed some goaltending depth in the pipeline, and they didn't have it, and they passed on it. So that was really frustrating for me. And beyond that, what have they really done in the draft, right? Like, I mean, they've passed on, it's been ugly, right? So some of this, maybe you sit and go, it's too early to tell. But at the end of the day, I think it was time for a change. Rick Precy, like Bruce had said, he did really well with the Avalanche and with Philadelphia. Now it's not hard to pick a guy like Nathan McKinnon or Gabe Landeskog or, all the players that he's gone through. But Ryan O'Reilly, Matt Duchene, Tyson Barrie, all great players. And then in Philly, Provorov, Bobby Brink, and Matvei Michkov this year. So he had the stones to say, we got to take Michkov, which, other teams obviously passed on. So I like that. I like that we have a guy in our organization now that seems to have a qualified track record for the draft.
Yeah, very well said, for sure. The only thing I'll add to that is I still need to see Jesper Wallstedt and that play out. I really think that I'd love to see the way that ends up coming to fruition, because I don't know. I would say that nobody has more scouts in Sweden than Iserman and Holland. And the fact that they both passed on him, because Iserman took the goalie out of Edmonton instead.
Kosa, yeah.
Sebastian Kosa. So I don't know. I want to see that play out, right? I think it reminded me just a smidge of when Kakalainen, Columbus GM. Do I have that right? Doesn't sound right in my head right now. When he passed on Playarvi, right? They're like, oh, geez, well, we got this Finnish GM that's got all the scouts in the world in Finland, and he took a Canadian center. So I don't know. I do want to see that play out, but I'm interested in what Tyler has to say about the Jeff Jackson and additions of analytics and scouting.
I think it's, for me personally, I think it's still a little too early to judge Tyler Wright in Edmonton.
Yeah, I agree.
Because not enough of those players have actually graduated. Dylan Holloway, I don't think that really counts, because, I mean, 15 and higher, I mean, those guys are gonna play. If they don't, that's a disaster. So I think you would judge more for Tyler Wright on what he did in Detroit, and I don't think it was that good. So I think if you bring somebody else in that has a decent track record, and like Devon said, had the stones to make some of those picks, I think that's good. And adding to some analytics that the team has kind of wanted to avoid, while everybody else was really going heavy on that, is nice to see. And I think that can only help the team. It's nice that they're going outside and kind of turning over new leaves and not just kind of doing the same old thing.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? I think like the parts of still being able to judge, I think, are still important as well. And the fact of the matter is we might not ever truly really be able to judge his work, because, you know, and yes and no. Like, I mean, if you're an NHL player, an NHL player, and I understand that, but a lot of these pieces will be moved off and be in other opportunities. And, you know, I think we've already seen that with Reed, Schaefer, and I would bet dollars to donuts that Borgo won't even be an Oiler by the end of this season. So, I think that there's a little bit to be said about that as well. But yeah, John, what do you think about the additions that Jackson's made, or the changes, I should say?
Yeah, no, I'd say they're welcome changes. Yeah, there was need for something to happen there, and definitely, in my eyes, a step in the right direction. As for the analytics, the more data you get, the better. It's basically for everything. Data is king. That's where you make your moves. That's where your home runs come from. And absolutely.
Spoken like a fantasy hockey guy.
Of course.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. You crunch the numbers, you find the hidden gem, and you take your risk on that deep sleeper. I completely agree. I think that there's something about that. And it might not just be having analytics, it's knowing how to read it. Right? You know, you can have all the data in the world that you want, but if you don't know how to figure out the intricacies or the matrix to know where that diamond is, then it doesn't really do you any good. But yeah, I agree as well. Michael?
Yeah. Neil in the chat says, is there a cup contender with lots of great prospects that they drafted? Seems tough when you're all in every year.
Mm-hmm.
Neil's got something right. I mean, I had AJ Hafley on a couple of weeks ago. He's the beat writer for Colorado. And we talked about Colorado's prospects, which really, cupboards are bare when it comes to prospects. And at some point, if you're drafting lower in the order, over and over and over again, you're not going to have the same, high flying prospects that other teams have. And frankly, I'm all right with that. Whether Tyler Wright's to blame for having prospects or not, I could care less. This is a matter of Jackson coming in and putting his stamp on an organization, and that one's just an obvious one, right? Like it's obvious after the fact, maybe, and Watsy called it, but having said that, I mean, he needs to do something, and And I can't remember who it was that said it here. Maybe it was Bruce, talking about bringing other people in. I mean, it's time that the Oilers bring other people in. It's time that we do a lot of different things with this organization, especially from the analytics side. And Jackson sees that, and we've had a lot of the same ideologies year over year over year when guys like that understand the data, that John's talking about, are out there and saying, guys, like, you're doing this all wrong year over year over year. It's about time. Jackson's put his stamp on an organization, and that's what he's paid to do. And so, time will be the ultimate judge. But who cares whether right was right or whether right was wrong, right? Like it's now it's Jackson's team, right? Like, he's putting his stamp on it and go for it. I'm happy. I think we desperately need somebody who's willing to take some chances with this team. Who is, as they've said, cup or bust, right?
Well, at a certain point too, like, it's okay if your cupboards are bare, but eventually you have to start filling those cupboards with some Stanley Cups, and we haven't done that yet. So, I started looking at some of these teams. Like, Elite Prospects put out their rankings for the prospects pools, right? And at the bottom was Tampa and Vegas, and you go, okay, well, that's fine. You expect that because they're winning their Stanley Cups. The Oilers have been close, but they've really got nothing to show for it. And two, when you get to that point where you're competitive and you're in the hunt for a cup, you need players on entry-level contracts to make a difference. And we've had a really tough time with younger players, making an actual difference at the NHL level.
Yeah,
outside of the first round or two, right? Like,
I think Edmonton specifically, but if you look at Tampa Bay, there's cup contenders that have great prospects on entry level or on bridge deals. And the bottom of your lineup is usually filled out with players that you've drafted in the third, fourth, fifth round, sometimes later than that, or at least pushing in the minors, and they do end up getting some games to fill out your depth.
Yeah, we can play jump ball in the next one. Last round I wanted to do was thoughts on PTOs. It's out there, and now it's in the chat here as well. So, Gagne and Sutter signed up. I joked last week that we just don't get those guys as 2,000 games of experience. We get the 10,000 games of experience with all the Sutter family and Dave Gagne and everybody else behind it. They literally signed two guys to PTOs that were born in the league and had a label on their crib that said third line center before they were even two. We'll see another PTO. I'm hearing that in my rumor mill, and I've got a few sources. They're not very good. They're not like Garfield, but they're pretty good. And I think there is another one coming. Gregor threw it out there today. He didn't drop names, but maybe that was on purpose. The name that was dropped is in our chat there, and Mike Dursa says maybe it's his nephew Noah. Jump ball. Anybody have any thoughts? Anybody want to see anybody? What are you thinking on PTOs?
Well, I guess one thing I'll say, I love the Sam Gagne thing. I think he's just such an influence in that room, and you can see it all summer long. He's been hanging with the boys. They love him. Yeah. He's not going to play a ton of games, right? He might play, 20, 30, 40 games, but he's just one of those guys that's around. He's a pro. He's going to help the younger players get better. And probably a guy that when he's retired is going to come back and be a development coach or something too, right? So we love Gags in Edmonton, and I think that's his spot to lose. Like, I like the Sutter signing too, but has it been 2 years now since he played in the NHL game? So, what's he going to look like when he comes back? I'm not sure. I like it as a PTO. I think it's great. And Noah Gregor, I think, is fine as well. But, those two guys interest me more for sure. Outside of that, I don't know if there's a lot of other players out there. What about Thomas Tatar? Is he still out there?
I think so, yeah.
That's another one that I might have some interest for. I know he's a great 5-on-5 scorer. That's a guy that has some offensive juice, and I may have some interest in. But, we want to get better defensively, too. I think we have lots of high-end offense, right? So,
yeah. And the size and speed combo, I think, and Tatar's never really been that. A little of that Holland relationship is there, right? Who's the kid that was drafted by Philadelphia? That's
Is that Nolan
Patrick.
Nolan Patrick.
Okay,
Thank
yeah.
you. Potentially out there as well. But anybody else thoughts on PTOs?
I think Devon hit it on the head. I mean, it's Gagne's spot to lose. I think Sutter's here for a showcase, right, and to bring some experience to camp, right? Like I don't think there's any intention on signing him outside of camp. I think, you got that kind of experience. As you said, he grew up in the league. Why not? Why not have a guy like him at camp to bring some experience and just be around the guys? Give the spot to Gagne and Sutter will go play somewhere. Somebody will sign him for league minimum. It won't be Edmonton. Maybe Calgary will take him. Do a la Versteeg or something. I don't know. Whatever. I mean, it's
John,
been a couple
I'll disagree
years
with you.
since he's been around.
I think they're both going to make the team.
Okay.
I think that, in fact, I'm going against the current here, I think, from what most people think, but I honestly think that Sutter has a better chance of making the team than Gagne does and playing more games. I know Devon said that he's, been off 2 years, but I don't know if I'd rather taken a year off and let my body heal and recover from long COVID and be in the gym 6 hours a day. He's in peak physical condition. He always has been his entire life. He says he feels normal. He says he feels back to normal. And Sam Gagne's coming off double hip surgery. So let's not forget that, they're both a little banged up and a little scratched. And, reading my mind, is Sam Gagne, Neil Garrity, and again, is Sam Gagne the real fourth line center we need? And I'd say Sutter looks more like the prototypical fourth line center that we need, not Sam Gagne. So I'd say we might get that gritty guy that's good on penalty kills and size that, can do faceoffs and play the fourth line. Who's he got to beat out? Lane Peterson? Like, I can't be that tough, especially if there's a little bit of injury. And then Sam Gagne, I think, can kind of become Devon Shore 2.0. Just be around the room and be there on an emergency. Maybe you go down to Bake. I don't know. You go and show the kids down there a little bit too and come back on up. And, I'm sure he's in the NHL for 60, 70 games, but I do think that there's a little bit more there to it. But any comments on that?
That makes a lot of sense to me, actually. Yeah, because sorry, Tyler. I'll just quickly, because I think Gagne, he's not going to sign anywhere else. That's all I was going to say. I don't think he's going to just pack up his bags and head on down the road. So
that's right. Yeah. From what I hear, he's looking for a house. So maybe that's a good sign. Tyler, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think this is the next step to his involvement with Edmonton in some other capacity. It's not as much about him where he's going to play as it is about the next step.
Yeah, I don't suspect though he goes to Bake at all. Though that's
I could be wrong.
I mean,
I just think that there's some dynamic there, like Shore did, right? And maybe it's just that paper transaction every once in a while too, right? Like Devon Shore was up and down like a yo-yo.
Yeah.
But I did see John nodding his head earlier. I think he wants to jump in.
Yeah, no, I'm just agreeing with everything there. I don't know if Gagne is the guy for it. Like you say, he is definitely banged up, and everyone's gonna hate me for it. I've never been a Gagne guy. Devon knows that.
That's not why we hate you, though.
Just one of the many reasons.
But
welcome to the show, John.
Honestly, I think Sutter would be a better fit than too. Honestly, my opinion.
Cool. All right, there you go. I got somebody that agrees with me. What do you think, Bruce?
Honestly, I'm totally going to go totally off on a tangent here. I would really hope that someone could convince Jonathan Taves to come back and play fourth line center for the Oilers.
Duncan Keith might be able to. Apparently, he's in the organization still. So
that's who I'd like to see there.
Yeah, I can see something like that happening. I mean, if he's going to hit a team now, then sure, it's the Oilers. If it's not, then him and Patrick Kane are going to decide together at the trade deadline or something. Then. So be it, right? Yeah. But if they're going to decide together, they got to take league minimum together too. Yeah. So, hey, I am absolutely all for that. I've heard the rumors of it. If that happens, flipping fantastic. But as far as Noah Gregor versus, Philadelphia guy.
Patrick.
I hope his mom isn't listening.
No, Patrick.
Patrick, jeepers. I don't know. Maybe. I like Gregor would be great, to be honest. He's played his best games of his career in Edmonton. Whether he can sustain that with his entire family in a press box or every time or not, I don't know. But I thought he'd been signed by now, so I don't know. I think it'll all be interesting, and as it all sorts itself out, I'm sure that will lend itself to your guys' fantasy rankings. And maybe let's just kind of shift over there a little bit. Before you guys ever became part of heavy hockey, Michael and I had a lot of discussions about you guys. And before you ever joined, we were begging that you would. So I'm pretty happy about how all of this turned out. I know damn well Michael feels the same, but maybe just starting with Devon, what do you guys think of heavy hockey so far? And maybe more importantly, like what do you do for the most part at Fantasy Hockey Hacks, and where can they find the podcast other than at heavyhockey.com and all of that? We'll kind of go around the horn with what each one of you guys do and what the hacks are all about.
Sure. Yeah, I guess just on behalf of the four of us, I just want to say thank you to both of you, because we've definitely felt the heavy hockey bump this summer. I mean, just I've been more than impressed with the team over at HHN, and it's a great group of guys. Everyone's super supportive. Everyone knows their hockey, and is willing to support each other, and just a rising tide floats all boats. So it's been phenomenal. I've seen it in our website numbers. I've seen it in our downloads. I've seen it in our social media following. Like it's that effect has been real. And then just to see some of the things you guys have called over the past few weeks, and just great content and stuff, right? So heavy hockey's right in there, and I'm super excited about what's going to transpire this season. It's going to be a lot of fun. So and then in terms of where you can find us, fantasyhockeyhacks.com. We'll be contributing content to heavy hockey as well throughout the season. We're on all your podcast directories, and then we're most active on X, if you want to call it that. I still prefer Twitter myself, but at FH Hacks. So there you go.
Funny how like when Twitter first came out, I used Macho Me was like, I'm not saying tweet. I'm not gonna tweet anything, and now I'm like, I'm not saying X. I'm a Twitter guy. It's ridiculous how that seems to work.
For sure.
And buddy, it's reciprocated. Like we're super thrilled to have you. Like I said, Michael, write that down. Heavy hockey bump. I think that's a T-shirt, by the way. And if that's the case, that people are getting bumps, then I joked when Dustin Nielsen was on the show that it was pretty kind of us, a big media hockey conglomerate, to give a little guy and a little startup like him a chance to come on the podcast and use our platform. So
for sure.
I think it's a lot to take in moving forward, and I think that there's a big future ahead. Bruce, what do you got to say? What do you do over there, man, other than just look good?
I don't know about that, but pretty much anything Devon doesn't want to do.
Funny, that's my relationship with Michael.
There's a lot of it's behind helping out behind the scenes, and then just trying to provide something useful on the air when Devon doesn't want to talk. That's kind of when I kick in there and try to say something useful.
Nice. Ty?
It's pretty much all Devon and Bruce. I kind of show up. I'm a busy guy, so I show up when I can. Usually have a cocktail or two and pipe in when I have something stupid to say. But I mean,
that sounds like an Edmontonian.
It does. Devon and Bruce. I mean, really, John too, but Devon and Bruce really do all the work. I just kind of show up and have something stupid to say occasionally. So just happy to be here and hopefully do the same thing.
That's
with
also
everybody.
my role with Michael.
You're the same.
Ride his coattails and say something stupid every once in a while. John?
Yeah, no, Tyler hit the nail on the head there. The Devon and Bruce, they do a fantastic job. Tyler and I, we mix in, and when one of us has something stupid to say or something to argue about, that's definitely when we cut in there, and then they usually tell me I'm an idiot, but
it's
nobody likes my takes.
No, I think that's part of what makes the show interesting, is that we've got like a unique mix of guys here, right? So I mean, I'm super fixated. I love fantasy, right? But sometimes I get too fixated on the numbers, and
you're a nerd.
I'm a nerd. Yeah, I can be. I'm like a fantasy hockey nerd for sure, 100%. And so
Beautiful.
Tyler and John are great for pulling me back to reality and like, let's talk some real hockey for a minute. And they actually make the show fun and entertaining. And Bruce too. And Bruce has just been like, he's been such a great partner for the past 3 seasons. He's been helping me. He's been on every episode. I think you missed a couple now, Bruce, just for some weird timing. But, Bruce and I did the first 110 straight episodes together.
Wow.
And it's funny.
I didn't even know what was going on.
Well, we told this off air, but no, you knew. But
I might have. I was doing other stuff.
But Tyler is busy building his own empire, which is totally fine. I respect that. And like you said, you're a busy guy. But no, it's just all 4 of us have had a blast doing this. And it's continued to grow and grow every year. And so but having a unique mix of guys definitely makes the show better.
Yeah. So from what I understand on that, Bruce and Devon are the analytics and Tyler and John are the eye test.
I think I might be the only analytics guy, really. Like Bruce is trying. Bruce wants to learn it.
I'm learning I'm still very much an eye test guy. So I'm learning the analytics side of it, but I'm very much an eye test guy.
We're kind of like the Edmonton Oilers. We got one guy in the organization that talks about analytics.
Bruce
There you
is
go.
Bruce is still learning the Tevish and the
ish.
Yeah.
The
ish is iffy.
Devon, way to bring that full circle. Hey, fantasy mirrors reality.
There you go.
Hey, there it is. Michael, which I know the listeners won't be able to see, is rocking a new mustache up there, and so it's been itching at me the entire episode to say something here. But I want your comment on the hacks and what you think of all this. So talk to me, Goose.
Yeah, obviously, right? Like I've been courting these guys for over a year now. Devon and I have had conversations offline for a while, and you just need to listen to one episode and you'll see why. You guys do a wonderful job, and we're happy to have you. And that's been the DNA behind. Neil is asking if I joined the RCMP. I think I like that one. You guys just need to listen to one episode, and you'll be hooked on the fantasy hockey hacks, and of course fantasy hockey. Everybody loves it. I suck at it, so I kind of needed somebody to help me out and maybe give me a leg up on the competition. Maybe for once I'll finish somewhere out of last place in a fantasy hockey league.
Never.
And I'll do it by taking some advice from you guys. But no, you do. You know what? You do a fantastic job, and really happy to have you guys. We're happy to have you. Everybody's happy to have you. And like I said, it's in the DNA to have a good culture at heavy hockey, and that's that was equally as important as the content that you produce. And so I knew from listening to you guys how you interact with each other, how you interact with the fans, the thing that you'd be good part of the team. And look, you haven't disappointed. Maybe John once or twice, but the rest of you have been.
All right.
I feel like John and I have so much in common. We're kindred spirits here. Like, nobody likes our takes. We're just here to be a smart ass. The boss is hard on us.
You guys do a wonderful job, and just happy to have you.
Well, yeah. Thanks, Michael.
Next time I'm through Saskatoon, I'll buy you guys a beer.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure Michael would be RCMP material, but he probably is drinking a liter of cola.
Bubbly.
Just glad somebody got that. My wife would have been looking at me like, anyways. So, okay, this one's selfish. I want to stay on the fantasy topic, but I was in dynasty leagues. I've been in fantasy my entire life. Like, we used to do fantasy before fantasy was even a thing. I did football fantasy when we used to have to get the paper on Tuesday and dig out the stats and figure out all the touches and yards, and big proponent of it. I got out of it a little bit when my son was born. He's just about 4 now, but I'm itching again. So I'm joining a dynasty league. I got it. It's just points only. I got 7th overall pick, and I want to know from each one of you, how early is too early to draft Connor Bedard in a dynasty league? Devon?
Well, you just go as early as you possibly can in a dynasty league. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like McDavid, Draisaitl, Connor Brown,
if you're starting this,
Connor Bedard.
For dynasty purposes, like it's pretty much Connor, Leon, and Bedard. You could maybe even make an argument you'd take Bedard over Leon, and I love Leon. I mean, you guys know he's like my guy, but just for dynasty because he's the first prospect that's really been compared to Connor McDavid since McDavid came into the league. So I've heard
since Eichel.
Right? Yeah, exactly. He's the best prospect to be drafted probably since Eichel. Like it's or Matthews or one of those guys. But he's right up there. So if it's dynasty, right away. If we're talking season long redraft leagues, that's kind of where the conversation gets a little more interesting because right now in a 12-team redraft league, he's going at an ADP of 40. So you got to take him early in the 4th round, probably in the 3rd round if you really want him.
Late.
And there's a lot of risk attached to that because you don't actually know how he's going to perform next season. In Dynasty he's going to pay off, but for next season the Hawks are still going to be terrible. What if Taylor Hall goes down with injury? He is only 5'9" or 5'10". What if he himself gets injured? Like there's just, and you don't have a body of work to really reference at the NHL level, right? So there's lots of question marks around Bedard. That's why he's still kind of going in the 3rd or 4th round in most redraft leagues. That's my take. But I'm sure the other 3 hacks will have some input. So.
Yeah, shocked that you said number 3. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't sure if he'd be there at 7 or not, but now you have me thinking. I just think about the players that are like Austin Matthews isn't young. What about Jack Hughes?
Well, and here's what I'll say. Yeah, so Jack Hughes is a great option too, but he's not going to outperform a lot of those guys next season. So you take him 3rd, just knowing that there's probably at least 10 other guys that are going to outperform him next season. Probably more. Like I looked this up today. There's close to 50 players. Like we've got Bedard projected for 42 goals and 74 points next season, if all goes well. Last season, there was close to 50 players that performed better than 74 points. So if you take him at 3rd, this season, you're not getting the value on that pick. But in years 2, 3, 4, 5, you're going to be laughing all the way to the bank.
Wow. Love it. Okay. Bruce? Connor Bedard?
Like Devon said, in Dynasty, I would take him as early as possible. In redraft, I wouldn't draft him this year because I wouldn't reach for him in the 3rd or 4th round. There's too many other players that we know are going to provide results. And like Devon said, he's only 5'9" or 5'10", and I just have that whole Johnny Gaudreau feeling about everything. So,
what did he'll choke in the playoffs?
Basically, he just doesn't have the size for the playoffs. He'll be good for regular season fantasy, but as a playoff, I just don't know unless he can find a way to channel Thayer and Fleury. I don't see him doing well in the playoffs.
Yeah, I just think wearing a Flames jersey is a choking hazard, period. But Michael, what do you think?
It's funny, Bruce, you bring that up, but I got to see firsthand Bedard in the Czech
I knew you were going to say this.
Canada gold medal game. I thought the Czechs played him beautifully, and I thought it had a lot to do with the size. He was great when he had the open space on the power play, but he was. I thought size kind of held him back a little bit. So you're right, but I do. Maybe the one sort of thing I'll say is, I said this before when we talked about Bedard, we had a panel on before, is who else is going to score points on the Blackhawks this year, right?
Yeah.
And they're not all going to, somebody's got to score the points there. And
Taylor Hall, baby.
It's an NHL team. I think he's going to be over a point a game player, maybe just a point a game, but I think I'd take the over on 74 any day of the week. So I'd probably, I probably wouldn't agree with you in terms of where to draft him, but then again, I've finished last in every
that's all
fantasy.
The more reason I'll listen to these guys.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
well,
I
I mean, if Taylor Hall is mentoring young Bedard at the local Cactus Club in Chicago, I'm sure he's got nothing but good to come from him. But Tyler, where do you see all that? Or John, let's go to John. We always leave John last.
No worries. I was fortunate enough to see a couple games within Saskatoon here to watch Bedard play. Miles above everyone else who was on the end.
Yeah.
Like even he had a poor game, but he's still better than everybody.
It's not best on best though. right?
No,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah.
No,
Oh,
that's-
all he did at best on best is break Eric Lindros's
No,
record.
I
Michael.
I know, but
crushed it.
yeah.
Again, don't take Michael's advice. John, go on.
No, but I'm real high on the Connor Bedard train.
All right.
I'm looking forward to that one. I'm also going to take the over on the 74.
What about Dynasty League draft position?
Dynasty League draft position. I am taking him over Leon.
I knew you would.
Whoa,
John,
you guys really have me banging my head against the wall. Tyler, tell me they're crazy.
John, it's a John thing. Nobody else is crazy. John is. And there's also nothing wrong with being 5'9". I'll just put that out there. I thought
Yeah, me too, bro. Yeah.
I thought at like against the Czechs and as the competition got a little bit tighter, I felt it was more his skating than anything that kind of held him back as opposed to how they played him. I think like I don't think his skating is where it needs to be. I think every other part of it is there. And I don't think enough people talk about the fact that his boots are a little bit slow for how good of a player he is. I would still take him obviously after Leon because I'm not insane. Especially in a dynasty league, like right in there. Because I still like he's at a level of a player that can improve his skating probably astronomically because great players are able to do that. And I think he could, but I don't think that next year, I think he's going to learn a lot about how much he needs to improve that.
Yeah. You know what? You said something that kind of is key there too, right? I mean, how many players in our lifetime are going to be labeled a dynasty player, right? This is the next one or once in a lifetime or whatever. Like can only have so many of those players in 8 years, but apparently we've got them. That said, I think it was easy to see, people might have said Nuge was too small or McDavid was too skinny or whatever was too slow, but nobody's called anybody a generational player and said they're too slow and too small. Right? So I think that does throw a little bit more mystique out in the air about this whole situation. That said, I'm also taking the over on 74 points. So let's shift to a couple Connors. Connor McDavid, let's just do a quick over under. I haven't seen your guys' projections. I know you've talked about a few. I don't think you've released anything yet that I'm aware of anyways, but you can tell me if I'm wrong. Over under on Connor McDavid, 140 points. John?
I'm going to take the over.
Connor McDavid wants to do. Connor McDavid does.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, tough to bet against the guy.
Yep.
Tyler?
I'm going to say over, but I mean, it could be under if he decides he just wants to win a Selke. So
Wait, you can't take both.
why not? Why not?
He's talking out of both sides of his mouth, but he did make a valid point, right? I mean, last year he decided he wanted to win a Richard, and he won a Richard. If he wants to win he took the over, but if he wants to
We're
win a
giving
Selke,
you even money on this. Like this is
Hey, I'm sticking up for my Edmontonian. I got Tyler's
Thank
back.
you.
I like
Thank
what he
you.
said
Yeah.
there, but what about you, Michael, since you got so much to say?
well, if we're taking both, I'm taking both. No, I'll
Great
take,
choice.
Yeah, I'll take the over. But more importantly, I guess, is whether you take the over or the under on the power play, because that'll dictate whether he's over 140 or not. And as hard as it seems to be to recreate what happened last year, I think with Bouchard on the back end, it's just going to be, I think it might be a slightly better power play this year, if that's even remotely possible. So I'll take the over on 140.
So, Devon, Michael says that McDavid is a product of Draisaitl and a power play.
That's
movie.
right.
What do you think?
That's right.
No, false. But I'm still gonna take the over 2. Like we actually projected 53 goals, 140 points. So a bit of a step back from last year.
Good guess by me.
Part of it is the power play, right? And so we talked with Eric Friesen about this on his show, and I don't see that. Like, they had the NHL's best power play ever at 32.4%.
Yeah.
I just don't see them improving on that or even maintaining that same level. Like, I just think there's going to be a little bit of a drop off in the power play, even if they're at 30% all season. That's phenomenal, right? But it's going to eat into McDavid's production. I think there's a couple other stats. I don't have them available here, but there's a couple things, and that's why his projection's a little bit lower this year. I also think the focus won't be on 60 goals again. I agree with Tyler. Like, he wanted to score 60. Leon said you have to score 60 just to show everyone you can do it. And now they're just going to focus on winning. I don't think Leon or Connor care about the points at this point. It's just, let's just go win some hockey games.
Yeah, he not only said, I'm going to show you that I can score 60, Leo, I'm also still going to get you your 50.
Yeah.
Oh, and let's get Nuge 100 as well. Yeah. And I do think that's what, honestly, Connor's points kind of dropped off once he started looking at what everybody else needed to accomplish, right? Yeah, for sure. Bruce, it's pretty tough to take the under here after everybody else's, but, I'll give you that chance.
Yeah, no, I'm not taking the under. I'm definitely going over. I think Connor is going to be on a mission this year. They want to win. I actually think he's probably going to push 2 points a game by the end of the season. I think he'll be close to 164 points.
Bruce, you can still pick both if you want.
No, I'm not taking both. I'm not taking both.
No.
Not doing
He's
that.
from Saskatoon. He can talk on both sides
Yeah,
of his
never
mouth.
mind.
Yeah, it's tough to take the under, you guys. There's no doubt about it. I think that obviously the power play is a big catalyst to that. Can it get better? Like, man, I'm not going to bet against the power play getting worse any more than I'm going to bet against McDavid getting less than 140 points, to be honest. Like, you practice something more and more, you should get better. It was better with Bouchard. It gives them another dynamic, that frickin' shot from the points of cannon, and something Barry couldn't do. Now, I know Barry distributed better, but I don't know. I think the coaches will still figure out a way, get a little bit of injury. I think Connor can play the half wall instead of Nuge. You got Kane that can play net front instead of Hyman. There's a lot of options there. So
let's not forget a healthy
there
Kane
too.
for a season,
Yeah.
right? Like that.
Yeah.
That could change that power play a little bit too.
We're bullish on Kane for next year, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, well, his injuries have been bad luck. I don't think that you can kind of fall into that again for a third straight year. But none of you guys mentioned the missing secret ingredient to Connor McDavid, breaking and going ahead of next year, which is they signed his old junior teammate. So, Connor Brown obviously is going to bring all the goods to Connor McDavid and take him to the next level, right? So with that said, let's do a next round over under. Connor Brown. Oh, geez. 2-part question. Will he set a career high in goals? And I guess if you're saying yes to that, then is his over under, what did you guys set it at? I'm going to say 55. Is that close?
Our projection was 53 points and 21 goals.
Whew. I should work for you guys.
Come on over.
Okay, over under on 53. Devon?
I'm going to take the under just slightly. I have a really hard time believing that a guy that missed all but 4 games last year with a substantial injury is going to come back this year and, score 55 or 60 points. It can happen, but I have concerns. And his best season prior to this was it whatever it was? It was 20 on pace for 55, I think was what it was. I'll pull it up here. But I just don't have, I like the signing. I'm not real bullish on Connor Brown.
That's fair. John?
I'm going to pull the under on this one. Like Devin said, the guy only played 4 games last year. I don't see I see him contributing a decent amount, but to expect a whole lot out of him, I'm leery on that. So, yeah, I'm going to take the under.
I'm going to
I think we benefit as long as he's a Hyman 2.0, right? If he can bring up Devin said something earlier, a higher tide rises all boats. And I think if you got a couple guys like that have that type of effort, then that bodes well for everybody else around it when you see your teammates hustling out there. So I think that's a really good point, John. Tyler?
Devin, what did I say last time we talked about this?
I can't remember.
I don't know. You're going to talk out of both sides
I'm
of your mouth
trying.
anyways.
I'm gonna go under. Just
It might be 50, it might be 60, right, Tyler?
We've all been waiting on this one here.
yeah, who's to say? I'm gonna say under, just based on the fact that he barely played in the last couple of seasons, and that's really it. And I don't think that he's gonna play on the first two lines.
Yeah, honestly, I think a lot of the benefit will come out of what he does on power or on the penalty kill as well. I mean, when he played and was playing consistently, he was dominating the NHL in penalty kill minutes, like leading the league. So he's got a ton of experience there. Bruce, what do you think?
I'm going to be the outlier. I'm going to pick the over. Hey, look, Maroon scored 30 goals playing with McDavid. I could probably score 20 just standing in front of the net with McDavid playing. So I think I think he's going to, it may not be a whole ton over, but I think he's going to go over. He's better than Yamo, and Yamo was the one that was in that spot last year.
So
yeah, there
I'm just gonna.
Yeah, and Yamo was usually good for 20.
I got to mention Bruce. So like just looking at his numbers here, because that's what I do, right? But in his two best seasons, he was on pace for 51 and 50 points. So in that shortened season, the COVID season with 56 games, he had 21 goals and 35 points. But he was playing like between 18 and a half to 20 minutes a night. And I kind of agree with Tyler. Just because him and Connor were buds and junior doesn't gift him that spot on the top line. So, I mean, is he going to play 20 minutes a night? I really don't think so. And that was the kind of deployment he was getting to get to that level of production.
Yeah, but the talent he's playing with this year is a hell of a lot better than what he's played with before. Nothing against what happened in Washington. He only got 4 games with them, but the talent level is considerably higher in Edmonton. Considerably higher.
I agree, Bruce. And I was totally wrong on Hyman. I thought Hyman was going to come in, and I liked him as a player, but I was not like super high on the guy. And he just came in here and proved me completely wrong. So it happens.
See, I was right once. It only happened once, but I was right once with Hyman. So
all the time.
Well, and Devon, I'm not sure if you heard, but Connor McDavid was promoted to assistant Poho. So if he wants Connor Brown to get 18 minutes a night, you better believe it's happening.
Good call.
All right. Well, we just hit the hour mark, you guys, and you know, in the future we should probably try and keep these under an hour. Wink, wink. So let's maybe do some around the horn.
I'll take the under just in case you're asking.
I'll take the over.
I wasn't.
Under over.
Yeah, I wasn't asking. So hey, let's just do some last words. Final thoughts. It'll be the last thing you say tonight once you're done. And then in reverse fashion, Michael hosts this show most of the time, at least sits in this seat. Tonight he's just my friend or my associate kind of co-host. So I'm going to do what he does for me and give him the last word. So let's do this. Let's say, John, final words, buddy.
Just happy to be here. It's been wonderful joining you guys. Being part of the Heavy Hockey Network has just been fantastic, and looking forward to times to come.
You're welcome for the bump. Tyler?
Yeah, all the same stuff John said. And you can take the under or the over. You can pick both. Have a good night.
Awesome. Devon?
Yeah,
Bruce. Sorry, let's go, Bruce.
Oh, sure, but me next. Just kind of reiterate what John and Tyler said. It has been fantastic. Everyone as part of the Heavy Hockey has been so supportive and everything. It's been a fantastic experience. I am very much looking forward to the future. Very much. It's going to be lots of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Devon, sorry.
No, just thank you both, and thank you to everyone over at Heavy Hockey. It's been an absolute blast. It's been a great summer. I would say keep an eye on us too for over the next few weeks. We still have some pretty high quality guests coming on. I think we've got Pete Jensen from the NHL Network is committed to joining us for an episode. Ian Gooding from Dauber Hockey. We've got Nate Groot Nibelink from Apples and Genos is coming on, and we may have a few other guests in there as well. I think Peter Harling may join us. So lots and lots of great guests and more content to come ahead of the NHL regular season. And that's it for me. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. All right. Well, I've heard enough of my voice. I'm sure you guys have too. Over to our leader up in the ivory towers of Heavy Hockey, my buddy, my co-host, ready to make an entrance. So back on up.
Yeah.
We're about to blow shit up.
I mean, Dash promised a big announcement tonight, and so as everybody knows, we had an Oilers Twitter dog contest, and Izzy was the winner. Biggest biggest announcement yet. No, there's more to it as our numbers just immediately everybody drops off. They're not listening anymore. Hooray! We've got the Oilers Twitter dog. I love how Dash has put himself.
I
in
did
the
not mean
highlight
to do
reel.
that. Sorry, you can
There.
switch that back.
That's all good.
My elbow bumped that one.
All right. Oh, that's the heavy hockey bump you've been talking about, guys. That's narcissism at its finest, right there.
That was an elbow bump. I apologize.
I said it before, guys. Just happy to have Fantasy Hockey Hacks here. Heavy hockey. The Heavy Hockey Network officially started. I think the date's October 2nd of 2021. And it's just been over a couple of years. Oilerslive as a podcast has been around for a few years now. I've been doing this. And I've had the joy of, meeting tons of people across Oilers land, having a ton of great guests. And, part of that, I mentioned the DNA and the culture of an organization. When I first set out to do this, it was all about finding just the right kind of people that not only were smart hockey folks and understood hockey, but also, had a bit of a culture of giving back. And so we started doing the charity hockey game in Edmonton, and we even did one in Calgary. And so there's been a lot of different things and iterations along the way for heavy hockey. And so all of that has culminated to what I'm about to tell everybody, which is starting next week, heavy hockey has got a live spot, 2 spots, as a matter of fact, on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. and Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. So it'll be heavy hockey. We're going to be friends of Edmonton Sports Talk. So while we're not officially part of their crew, we will be officially part of the live schedule. And so you'll be able to tune into Oilers Live and its regular Tuesday spot at 9 p.m. We'll be either good or bad. We'll be stuck to that hour time slot. And so you won't tune out too quick. But on Wednesday night, I'm also very, very happy to announce that the Fantasy Hockey Hacks fellows that are here tonight, which is why they joined us, will be doing the 9 p.m. Spot on Edmonton Sports Talk on Wednesday nights. And you'll still be able to stream us on all your favorite platforms, whether it's YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, or Facebook. You'll still get to see Oilers Live and everything. But we're just, we couldn't be happier that, look, just as much as the team at heavy hockey is great, the guys at Edmonton Sports Talk are equally great. And that's why immediately when Dustin Nielsen, Iwanek, Gazzola, and thank you, thank you, all came together, we needed to be on board with them. They're just fantastic guys. There's lots of new things that are going to happen this year. We had a really great summer. Heavy hockey did. I think it's recognized by this announcement today, and it's just going to keep moving forward. And the other thing that I should add to this is our charity hockey game, the Heavy Hockey Showdown. Part of doing this hour, I told those guys, I said, we really want you to be a part of the Heavy Hockey Showdown as well. And the answer. They were they were more than happy to be a part of it. And so we expect bigger and better things from the Heavy Hockey Showdown in support of the Sexual Assault Center of Edmonton. Just stay tuned, you guys. It's it's going to be a fun ride, and we're doing it with, as I said, some of the greatest people to be part of the Edmonton sports scene, and I couldn't be more excited. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say see you next week on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Make sure you tune in to those guys tomorrow morning as the AM Nasty gets its kickoff. Just go to EdmontonSportsTalk.com, hit the listen live button. It's really easy. Check out their videos. We love those guys, and we're just so excited to be a part of it. Have a great night, everybody.